Hey guys, it's Anna from Bright Lane Gardens, and today I wanted to talk to you about one of my all-time favorite gardening techniques called the Chelsea chop. If you've been following along on this channel with me, then you already know how much I love to garden with native plants. One of the top comments I get when people ask about gardening with native plants is how tall they get. A lot of our herbaceous native perennials up here can reach up to 3 feet in height, which if you're trying to landscape with it, it can quickly take over a section of your landscaping. One technique that I really love to use on my herbaceous perennials, especially my native plants, is the Chelsea chop. The Chelsea chop is essentially a technique where you come in sometime between Mother's Day and Father's Day and cut back the plant a few inches above the soil level. There's a few things that this accomplishes. First and foremost, it helps to control the height of your herbaceous perennials. You can really alter this height. There is no set inches that you need to do from the ground. So if you just want to shorten the height by a couple inches, you'll just take off those first few sets of leaves. And if you really want to cut back your plant and keep it nice and low to the ground, then you'll go ahead and cut that all the way back an inch or two above the soil level. The second thing that the Chelsea chop does is it actually doubles the number of blooms that you can get on a plant. For a lot of herbaceous plants, including tomatoes and peppers, when you top a plant directly above a node with 2 sets of leaves, it will actually split and grow 2 heads from there. So what that means on a pepper plant and a tomato plant is you'll actually double your production on the tomato and the pepper plant. And what that means on a flowering herbaceous perennial like this bee balm that I have here in front of me is you'll actually double the number of blooms that you have on your plant. As you already may know, this is an event venue, so it's really important to us that we keep all of our landscaped areas looking neat and tidy. I love to garden with native plants, but I needed a method that would keep them looking very well groomed and under control. The third benefit of the Chelsea chop is you can actually have your plant bloom for a longer cycle if you only do the Chelsea chop to half of the plant and let the other half grow as it normally would. For example, I have this bee balm right here in front of me. If I chose to only Chelsea chop the front half of the bee balm, then the back half would start to bloom first on its normal bloom cycle because it hasn't been cut back at all. And several weeks later, the front half would start to bloom as those heads started to develop where I made those cuts. This is a really unique opportunity to really elongate the bloom cycle in several different areas of your landscaped areas. As many of you already know, we do run an event venue here at Bright Lane Gardens. So for me, I want to keep everything looking nice and uniform. I'm going to go ahead and apply the Chelsea chop equally to this entire plant. It will delay the blooms on this. However, it's going to work out perfectly with our event schedule this year. So I'm really excited to see how it turns out. Right now, it's a few days past Memorial Day. I would have loved to be able to get to this about a week ago. Unfortunately, time did get away from me. So I'm not going to cut these back quite as far as I would have if I had done it a week ago. We did get a really nice rain. We desperately needed it up here. We got it a couple days ago. These guys shot up in response to it. They're nice and tall now. I know they're going to grow exceptionally well as soon as I apply this Chelsea chop. I'm going to start at the front of the plant and move my way back, making sure that I keep all of my cuts nice and even so that as the plants start to grow back up, they'll grow in nice and equal. My Chelsea chop on the bee balm is complete. I did end up doing a slight tier to the back of it. The back end is actually a little bit taller than the front of it is. Up ahead here I have coneflower that's just now starting to come in. That's going to be the lowest on the front. Next will be the front half of my bee balm and then the back half of my bee balm. Since I did cut it all at the same time, it will end up blooming at the same time, which is exactly what I want because I do want it to line up with some of the summer events that we have scheduled so far this year. And of course, behind it, I do have my Diablo 9 bark, which is going to add the big height to the center of my bed. From here, there's not a lot more that I need to do. Today is a 90-degree day in northern Michigan. We've had several of them in a row. This is a little abnormal for us for early June, but we're going with the flow here as much as we can. Just note that anytime you cut back an herbaceous plant like that, it can cause a little bit of stress to the plant. So I'm going to want to make sure that I'm keeping him very well watered throughout the day today and in the subsequent days with all the heat that we have coming. Under normal circumstances, really, there's not much that you need to do after the Chelsea chop. For the native herbaceous perennials, they like to be here. They handle our conditions very well, and they'll do just fine with the Chelsea chop. This is a really unique and helpful technique. If you garden with native plants, I highly recommend giving it a try. You really can't harm the plant, and if you don't like the way it turned out in year one, you get to experiment with something different in year two. If you have any questions specific to the Chelsea chop or taking care of my native perennial back here, please leave them in the comments below. And if you like what you see here and want to see more of it, please subscribe to our channel. It really helps out small businesses like ours. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time.